Hey everybody, it's Becky. I am back today with my very first Q&A video. I was scared to death to ask people to ask me questions because I was like, what if nobody asks me anything? But thank you guys for being sweet and asking me questions. And I don't know, this video is probably going to be 9 million years long, but I was really excited to get the questions that I got because I got just enough to make a video with, but not so many that I didn't know what to do with them all. So thanks for helping me with my first Q&A video, and if it turns out to be something that you know I enjoy and you enjoy, then I can do more in the future if you're interested. But the first question comes from Autumn L, and I get a lot of questions from her, so hi Autumn. Her question is, I'm curious what career you may have had before being a stay-at-home mom, what you went to school for, etc. So I actually went to school, okay, let me go back. When I was a kid, I always said I wanted to be a marine biologist. Well, there's several problems with that. I don't live near the ocean and I'm afraid of water and I don't swim. So obviously that was a career dream that did not last very long. I think as a kid, of all the things I said I wanted to be, the thing that I really thought I would want to be the most was a teacher, which is kind of ironic now that we homeschool because I am a teacher. I just had no idea it would be for my own kids. But then after I graduated high school, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to go to college because even though I would have liked to have been a teacher, I still always said I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And of course, when you graduate high school, I wasn't in a serious relationship and I didn't know what to do. My mom said, well, just go to college for 2 years and get an associate's degree at least. And then if you want to continue on. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. So, and they were paying for college, so obviously there was no reason not to. So I went ahead and I got my associate's degree in business management, and I didn't go back because I got married not long after that and we started having our family. And so I do have an associate's degree, but even when I was working before I had my oldest daughter, I still was in retail and had never actually gotten a job that related to business management. I guess the closest thing was when I worked at Ulta. I was the prestige beauty manager there. I worked a lot of cosmetic jobs. I worked at Benefit, I worked for Clinique, I worked for Victoria's Secret Beauty, and I worked at Ulta when they first opened here in my state. It was before we ever had a Sephora, so it was the first store locally to sell like Urban Decay and Bare Sensuals and Too Faced and all those brands that you only could get at Sephora, but we didn't have one here. So that's kind of what I was doing, was working in makeup and retail. And then I got married, and not long after that we had our oldest daughter, and I stopped working the month before she was born, so I haven't worked in over 11 years, and that's kind of that question in a nutshell. So thanks Autumn for the question. Liz Millian, M-I-L-I-E-N, I hope I'm saying your name right. She said, what Christian books are your favorites other than the Bible? What are some ways you teach your daughters about God and faith memorizing scripture? What are your routines like your morning and evening? What are your favorite things to do when you get away time and have a mom break alone? That's a lot of good questions. Okay, so the first thing I prepared for, we do Awana at church every Wednesday night. Usually it follows the school year, so it starts usually in August or September and ends in May. Every Wednesday they go, both girls have their own classes, and they do age-appropriate activities and scripture memory. And they both love it. I mean, they look so forward to Awana on Wednesday nights. And so when we homeschool, I will put my youngest daughter's, whatever her verse is for that week, I put it in her daily learning notebook, and that way I know that I'm going to remember to go over at least that Bible verse with her every day, and so that way she helps remember it better. But as far as books go, I have a huge stack over here, and some of these I've talked about before in other videos. If I remember, I'll link the videos below. But still, I think my favorite two books of all the books that we've ever done together that are Bible-based and religious books are If I Could Ask God Anything, and it's by Catherine Slattery, and it's an amazing book that basically, I wouldn't say it's necessarily just for children, but it's a lot of questions that children would ask. So, is the Holy Ghost really a ghost? And it goes through and explains what it really means when people say Holy Ghost, and if there's a Bible verse to be referenced, they'll reference it. How does the Holy Spirit help me? What's the difference between a Jew and a Gentile? What is the golden rule? What are Psalms? Who is Jesus? How did Jesus get his name? So just all these great questions, and we really love this book. And if I was going to buy a religious book for anybody, it would be this one and the one I'm going to show you next. But this is an awesome book. I did mention this in a different video that I can link down below if you want to watch it. I also mentioned this one. This is Grace for the Moment, 365 Devotions for Kids. It's by MacLeod, and it's just a great, quick little devotion for every day. And they are dated, but so you start whenever the date is and follow it through. It'll be a whole year of devotions. And it's just a great little easy way that is, I don't want to say it's not time consuming, because you can spend as much time as you want or not on things like that. But you don't want to make it overwhelming for your kids and give them so much information that they're just like, whoa, So this is really great. The devotions are really concise, and they're pretty much age appropriate for any level of understanding. So if your kids are pretty young, they can still understand it. Of course, the Bible verse is referenced, and then it shows at the end, it's like a little kind of a conversation starter, so you can open up a line of conversation with your kids about whatever the devotion was about. So I love that book, and I actually have gotten that one as a gift for someone before. Those two books specifically were mentioned in, I think it was our favorite Christian devotionals book, and so I will link that below. I have a lot of books for my older daughter, and one of them that we picked out that she has actually read twice is Brave Girls Bible Stories, and she loves this book. Like, she literally read this, not that it's that long, but she was so interested in it, she read it in one day. And so the stories are fairly short, it's got some pictures, but it's written for younger girls, and it really focuses on the women of the Bible and telling their stories and their character and their bravery and being a godly woman. And it's just a great book, and she really has enjoyed it. So that one I would highly recommend. Another one I've talked about a couple times, I think, is the 1 Year Mother-Daughter Devo, and it's a devotional for mothers to do with their daughters. Same thing, whether it's dated, you just start whatever day it is and go all the way around. But it's got a Bible verse that you read together, a little bit of a story, and then kind of, again, with the conversation starter, really helping you and guiding you in figuring out what you want to ask your kids, opening up that line of communication to have more meaningful conversations with your daughters about how they feel about themselves and peer pressure and whatever the story is in the Bible that you just read and things like that. So it's a great way, especially if you're struggling to know what to talk about and how to talk about it. It's a great way to really open up that line of communication, and just a great book all around. So Dana Gresh actually wrote the 365 Mother-Daughter Devo, and she's actually got a whole series of books and actually a tour that comes around called Secret Keeper Girl. And so it's all of these really books, great books and resources for young girls to really teach them how to be godly women and to be modest and to be, just a good person. And so she's got lots of books. So the really neat thing about Dana Gresh's series, at least this series in particular, is she's got a version for the parent and a version for the kid. So this one is a girl's guide to understanding boys. So it's a lot more age appropriate and shorter, more concise and broken down into kind of saying things in a way that a young girl is going to understand, and Bible verses that relate to that. And then she's also got the parental version. So this is talking with your daughter about understanding boys. So it guides the parent through how to talk to your daughter about boys and setting boundaries and being a pure, keeping your purity and things like that. So I really think that's neat how they go hand in hand. So you read the parental version and they read the child's version. Same kind of a concept with this one, talking with your daughter about best friends and mean girls. So this is for the parents. And so again, inspiring confidence in your daughters and teaching them how to be nice but not letting people mistreat them. And the girls' version, a girl's guide to best friends and mean girls. So again, it's more age appropriate. There's a lot of little questions and little facts and tidbits, little Bible verses that go along, kind of questions and little activities they can fill in. It keeps it age appropriate and interesting for them, but still they're really learning about fostering friendships and being a godly and Christian friend. So great. I just think it's a neat way that they're written like that. I've never seen anything like that where there was like a companion adult version and a companion child's version. That was really neat. So those are just some of the Bible book resources that we use along with Awana that we've really enjoyed either doing as me and my girls together, or maybe one girl one-on-one, and some independent reading like I've mentioned with the Bible stories, the Brave Girls Bible Stories book that my oldest daughter likes to read. So those are probably our favorites. I think the main thing, though, that we do to teach our daughters about God and being faithful is to be the example that we want them to see. So, we don't use bad language. We don't listen to music with bad words. And we're just good people. We try to be helpful. We give to the church. We go to church. And I feel like doing those things and keeping God in the conversation, just like you would any family member, I think really just keeps God in their heart every day and changes their changes the way they think about things and see things. Especially, I notice one thing I like to try to say is, instead of saying somebody is lucky, we like to say that they are blessed. luck means something happened by chance, and being blessed means that it happens because of God. So I think that's just even a small distinction to make that really has a bigger impact, and a really they understand the difference between being lucky and being blessed, and seeing things that you receive as a blessing from God and not just a happenstance. So I think those little things like that, and saying our prayers before bed every night, and saying our prayers before we eat dinner and breakfast and lunch, all those things are just little ways that we keep God in the conversation. And I've done several videos about this. I'm not sure if you've seen them, and if I can find them, I'll link them below. But just ways to keep God and Jesus as a daily subject of conversation. Sorry, my memory card got full and I had to take it out. And then I realized when I looked back at the footage that I was like way too close to my head. So I backed up a little bit and try to finish answering the question. Just kind of like you would talk about any family member, we try to bring God and Jesus into the conversation, just like we would my mom and dad or one of their friends or something, just to make it, because just because we can't see them and be with them doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about them and share stories and things like that. So that I think is really important. You also ask about my morning and kind of evening routines. I will probably try to do that in a separate video at some point. It kind of varies from pretty much day to day. There's something that I do every day pretty much, like laundry and dishes and things like that, and exercise, and of course if it's a homeschool day, we're doing homeschooling, so that kind of changes a lot. Even in the summer, this summer we've done a lot of trips and things with the girls, and done a little bit of homeschooling here and there throughout the day. So every day is pretty much different, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to make that video, since my schedule does vary so much. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to just focus in on like what my daily chores are and then do a homeschooling day separately, but I will try to figure out a way to work that out and maybe make a more detailed video about that for you, because that would be a very long video in itself. And then your other question is, what are my favorite things to do when I get some mommy time or some alone time? That doesn't happen very often. Like right now, nobody's home because my husband took the girls to vacation Bible school, so I could have a couple hours to film. But typically that doesn't happen very often. He doesn't usually get a regular, his schedule's really crazy. So he always gets Sunday off because they're closed on Sunday where he works. But for the most part, my mom usually is who watches the girls if I have to go to a doctor's appointment or something like that. So like yesterday, I had to go to the doctor, and she had kept them the night before, both girls, so that it was an early appointment yesterday morning. So she kept them overnight so that I could get up in the morning and go to the doctor and not have to take them anywhere down to her house or something. So she's really helpful in that way. And she would, like if I called her and just said, I need a me day, I know she would let me have it. But I really don't ever ask for that, because I do have to have her help so much with other things. And so I feel kind of bad, even though I know she would love to spend the extra time with the girls. I was so guilty to ask that, because I feel like, I don't want to have my mom be like, oh, here, watch the kids so I can go to a movie or something. But I have done that before, and I used to go out like shopping late at night after the kids were asleep and my husband was home, which pretty much the only option was Walmart. That quits being exciting pretty soon. So I don't get a whole lot of mommy time, or, I try to get my little bits and pieces here and there. Like if I have to go to the doctor, I try to just enjoy the drive and listen to music I want to listen to, or, grab something to go to the drive-thru and eat it, on the way to get to pick them up. And like my husband got me a gift certificate for a massage for Mother's Day, which I still have not done yet. I was going to do it yesterday. My mom was like, why don't you go ahead? I've got the girls. You go ahead and get your massage. And they didn't have any appointments available. So I was like, who gets massages in the middle of the day on a work day? I didn't think they would be that booked up, but they were. But that was one of my goals for 2015, was to have kind of a mommy afternoon and go get a massage, maybe a pedicure. I've never had one before. Maybe go to the store and do some shopping at Sephora or somewhere. So that's kind of in the plans. It doesn't happen very often. So I do just try to pick out times that I really like to create my own moments, even if I'm here at home and people are home. Usually it's when the kids are in bed. I might sit outside and, just listen to the bugs and the birds sing, or if it's nighttime, I might, watch a YouTube video while I'm having a snack. But really, I don't really have that much time to myself. And when I do, and my husband's home, I know like on Sundays I could do it when he's home, but I feel guilty because that's usually his only one guaranteed day off the whole week. And so we usually want to do things together, or we have some projects we're working on, or we have errands to run. So it really doesn't happen on Sundays either. I really should be better about scheduling that in there, but I really just It doesn't happen very often. Between being a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mom, it doesn't happen very often. Loretta Bear, that's my friend Laura that I did the Usborne book haul with. She asked what a typical day looks like for us. So like I mentioned with the other question that Liz asked, I really probably will do a separate video about that. But just kind of generally, like right now in the summer, we get up, we have breakfast, try to remember to make our beds. And, you know, we always have breakfast. Usually we'll watch Lucy together. I love Lucy. All three of us really like that. My husband's already gone to work. He usually leaves, you know, early in the morning. And so it's just me and the girls. So we'll have breakfast, and then usually they will watch I Love Lucy together, and then they'll watch a show that they like Dog with a Blog or something, and I'll go and make any phone calls that I have to make, or any payments that I might have to make that morning or something, any bills. And then after that, we usually do a little bit of chores. My daughter, I've stopped dividing, at least in the summer, I stopped dividing my oldest and my youngest daughter's chores separately. I put them on a list all together, and my oldest daughter will kind of delegate to my youngest what she thinks that she can do. So if it's unload a laundry basket, then my oldest will take out her stuff and give my youngest her stuff and say, here, go and, you know, go put your stuff away. Or she'll help her clean her room. And so that way when they get allowance, they both get allowance for the week, because they not only did what they were supposed to do, that was like clean your own room and things like that, they helped each other. So it really helps to kind of foster some teamwork, and they work together to get things done. So we usually do some chores. I usually do some chores around the house, and then usually it's lunchtime by that point. So I'll get ready, and guiltfully so, we usually go to Panera. I've tried really hard lately to eat more at home for lunch, but it's so boring. I want to go somewhere, and we like Panera, so I don't know. But we usually go to Panera for lunch. We come back home. If we have any errands, we'll run some quick errands then. I usually grocery shop on Sunday or Monday, so that's usually out of the way for the week. And by the time we get back home, it's usually around 2 or 3 o'clock. The girls will either play together or have a rest time where they can read or take a nap or whatever. And then I will usually exercise as much as I can. I try to do it in the afternoon between the hours of 2 and 4. So like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. That way I can start fixing supper at 4 o'clock. You know, I don't know. We eat early. My friend says we're old because I'm always hungry and I eat dinner at like 4:30. But I get hungry really soon, so really early. So usually as soon as I'm done exercising, I will fix dinner, and the girls will play and then maybe finish up some chores they didn't finish. And we'll watch a show of what we pretty much always eat dinner in the living room. I guess that's terrible, but my husband's not home, and I don't like eating at the kitchen table. It's just so uncomfortable. So we usually like to eat in the living room, and sometimes we watch I Love Lucy, or again, Dog with a Blog, Phineas and Ferb, or sometimes we watch, lately we've been doing this a lot, we'll watch one of our old home movie DVDs while we eat dinner. I like to watch the Disney World vacation ones. Those are my favorite to watch. And I could watch those over and over and over. So we like to do that. And then after dinner, we'll like play a game together, play outside. We haven't been able to do that much lately because it's been raining so much, but they like to play outside. Sometimes we take walks. If my husband comes home on a kind of early that day, we'll maybe take a walk with him. Sometimes if he comes home, we'll go ahead and go do some more errands or go to feed the ducks, things like that. And then by the time we get back, they'll have their bath and their shower. We read stories and tuck them in, and they're in bed. And after they're in bed, then I usually work on things that I need to work on. I will exercise if I haven't already that day, pay bills, work on homeschool stuff, which I've been doing a lot, work on YouTube stuff. And I always make a list for the next day of things to do. I have to have a list. If I don't see it written down, my brain just freaks out. I can't sleep because I'm like, I'm going to forget to do this and I'm going to forget to do that. So I break it up into categories. I'll put phone calls and emails up at the top. And then I break it up to like the middle of the day, I'll do the bulk of what I need to do. So any kind of cleaning, exercising, sometimes things like that. And then then I have a nighttime section, and I'll try to get a couple things done after the girls have gone to bed. And I've really tried lately, I've been trying to work really hard on going to bed earlier. I tend to want to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'll work on homeschool stuff, and I do research for curriculum, and I'm working on my office. And the next thing I know, I'll look up and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's so bad for me. And I've been having some kind of health issues lately that are exaggerated by lack of sleep. So I'm trying really hard to make myself go to bed. Right now my goal is 12 o'clock every night, and even that is such a struggle because by the time the kids go to bed, I've got so much to do that I don't feel like that gives me enough time to do it. But I know my health is important, and some of those things can wait. And so making a to-do list of the top priorities for the next day really helps me to stay focused and to try to get to bed on time. and it just clears my brain. So that's kind of my day in a nutshell. Obviously, if it's a homeschool, if we're in the middle of homeschooling and not summertime, it's a lot different. So like I said, I will try at some point to make a separate video, a little bit more detail, maybe even showing kind of as I go through the day. It's just kind of hard since I don't feel comfortable showing my girls on camera, that since they're there with me 24/7, it's hard to film a day in the life without them like in there, you know. So still trying to figure that out. If I ever get it figured out, I will do a video about that for you. But thanks for the question. I appreciate it. Gracie A asked, do you have any favorite charities that you and your family support? Right now, the main thing that we do is I donate a lot to Goodwill, and the main thing we do is we tithe at our church, you know, every time he gets paid. That's really important to me as a Christian and as a family, and I think it's important for our girls to see that we give the way that we're supposed to give, as part of our, as the Bible says, to give 10%. So we do that, and I think that really right now is all we really do. I'm definitely open to doing more things, and even if I at some point got the opportunity to work with a charity through my YouTube channel somehow, that would be awesome. I did that once with the Friends and Vets Helping Pets. I did a video about that. That's actually a charity. It's kind of it's not really a charity, but it's a nonprofit organization that takes money that helps people that can't afford it to pay for their pets' medical bills, to offer life-saving treatments and procedures. So that was kind of fun. I just did that to get the word out because I feel like it's really important, and I know there's a lot of people out there struggling with medical bills for their pets that, you know, otherwise have no way to pay for these things. So that I did do, but right now the main source of our any kind of donation to charity is donating things to Goodwill and tithing at our church. Frank Vitt says, I love all your videos. I'm curious whether you have any plans of introducing your family to the channel, and what are your future topics you're going to cover. Thank you for your videos. Thanks for the question. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, I just don't feel comfortable showing them. They obviously are underage. They did not choose to put themselves out there on YouTube like I did, and I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And I really wish I could, because not only are they really cute, they are so funny. The stuff that they say and that they do, it just cracks me up. And their senses of humor are really mature, I think, for their age, both of them. I think it's because we've always talked to them, and I've always had such a unique sense of humor. I find puns in like everything, and so they kind of have that same kind of mentality where they see the humor in so many situations, and the stuff that they say is so funny. And when they're like playing off each other, it's just hilarious, and we have lots of fun. And I really wish I could show them, but I just can't. I just don't feel like it's a safe environment to put them in, and it's not an environment they chose to be put in. But I would love to. Just trust me, they're adorable and they're funny. Tatiana 2006 says, I would like to know what your homeschooling style is. I think really my style is very eclectic. I didn't really even know there was a style when I first started homeschooling. I had no idea what I was doing, no clue whatsoever. And YouTube really was one of the first places that I turned to when I was trying to figure out what do I do, because I did not know what to do at all. I hadn't planned on homeschooling necessarily, and we pulled her out of the middle of a school year, so I wasn't prepared. And I just didn't know what to do. And I didn't realize that you could buy whole curriculums that had every single thing you could possibly want. At the same time, I also didn't realize you could just kind of pick and choose and do what you wanted. And then even within both of those two realms, there are so many different opportunities and curriculums and books and activities and everything you can imagine in each of those categories, whether it be a preset box curriculum or you're kind of choosing what you want to do. So we are very eclectic, I feel like. I wouldn't say we follow a specific process. We're not Charlotte Mason. We're not Classical Conversations. I pick and choose the textbooks and the workbooks and the projects and everything that I think they're going to enjoy and that I think fits in with our family's beliefs and values. So does every book we do have to be a Christian book? No. But I do make sure that it's either going to be in line with our beliefs, or especially in science, you get a lot in science about there's the different theories. Probably what they teach in public school, it doesn't teach creation, it teaches the Big Bang Theory, and it doesn't doesn't bring God into anything. And so, especially in science, I knew off the top that was the main thing. I wanted to find a Christian Science curriculum because I know that it's going to talk about the creation of things and how things work scientifically through a biblical perspective. And so and even when it wasn't like the textbook that we use for science, even when it's not specifically talking about, God made animals, even the copywork practice is a Bible verse, or it brings God up, kind of like I mentioned in the other question about how to keep God as a daily topic of conversation with the girls. It brings God up just like you would a friend. It talks about him a lot. It brings him up. It's not always necessarily with just a certain scientific fact about God created the earth. It'll say, like, the copywork sentence might be, God made all things beautiful, or something. And so it's just something to keep in their minds and their thoughts and in their hearts. So that was important. So we did that for science. Obviously, we chose a Bible curriculum to add to our homeschool life because we're Christians and I want them to have a good basis of Bible knowledge and all the books of the Bible, and again, keeping God and Bible verses and biblical teachings in their hearts and minds as much as possible. So making him part of the daily homeschool conversation and bringing him into that. So we're little bits of everything. We're teaching textbooks for math for my oldest because I'm terrible at math and I can't teach it to her. And my youngest, we just got Matthew C because she's very hands-on and it uses a lot of manipulatives to teach concepts. So I have kind of picked here and there what I wanted. Some things I chose did not work, whether it was because my daughter was bored or whether it was because it was too much planning on my end. There's been different reasons why, we've gone where we've gone with curriculum choices, and I plan on doing a video about that probably. I might not make it before we start homeschooling because I'm running out of time, but at least once we, should be in the next couple months, like August, September, maybe even October, I will do a video about what our choices are for this school year of having an 11-year-old that's in 6th grade and a 5-year-old that's starting kindergarten, to kind of show you what I have picked and chosen for each of them, because it is hard and it's overwhelming. And I really have relied heavily on the homeschool reviews. I cannot remember the exact name of the website. I'll link it below. But it's basically a website where people go on there, other homeschooling families, and they review a huge amount of different types of homeschooling curriculums. Some of them are like more the most popular ones, like Abeka and Sunlight, and some of them are more obscure that you've never heard of. But I usually rely a lot on that website, especially in the beginning when I was trying to pick what I wanted to start with. That's kind of where I have pieced together what I wanted. And even within a subject like Bible, we use at least 2 different things for Bible, and not counting the devotionals that we use together. So we use Draw to Learn, which is a Knotgrass publishing company. It's an art Bible. So learning the Bible through art curriculum that I've done a video about before. I'll link it below. And she also uses Switched On Schoolhouse Bible, which is a computer program. And then, of course, our science is a biblical Christian science. We use Apologia for science. So it's a Bible-based Christian science curriculum. So, it's funny how God is everywhere in our homeschooling life, in our daily life, but he's everywhere in our homeschooling life as well. So even within the same subject, I will have several maybe different types of books and curriculums that we use for one subject. It's very pieced together, but I like it because it kind of reminds me of my YouTube channel, how I talked about my YouTube channel being a reflection of me, all the little bits and pieces of me. Our homeschool curriculum is the same thing. It's little bits and pieces of the things that the girls are interested in, that I want them to know, and that I think that is important. So that's a very long answer, but thank you for the question. I hope that helps you. Kelly, mama of 4, she said, I would like to know if you have any helpful tips as far as how to keep toys and kids stuff from taking over the house. This is an area that I need a serious overhaul. I feel like I spend so much time cleaning and picking up toy clutter, etc. Well, I agree, but you are a mom of 4, so you probably have twice as much stuff as I do because I only have 2. But I have tried many, many different processes throughout the years, and we still are constantly evolving in how we choose to store the girls' toys, because they each have their own bedroom with the closet, obviously, and they also have a playroom where kind of everything else goes. So really upstairs is pretty much their domain. My husband and I have our master bedroom and master bathroom and closet But everything else up here belongs to them. They both have their own bedrooms, they have a playroom, and they share a bathroom. So it's just like their wing over there. A majority of the larger things stay in the playroom. We have the big IKEA Expedit, which has, I think, 16 cubby holes, and so we keep a lot of the bigger toys in there. All the overflow stuffed animals stay in there. We have a big bookshelf in there, so all the overflow books stay in there, and we'll rotate them kind of on a regular basis. And then individually in each girl's room, they have a book basket in their room where they have a selection of books that they either read on their own, or I use those to read the bedtime story. Now, I don't read a bedtime story so much to my 11-year-old anymore. If we read anything together, usually it's a devotional. But my little one, she has a book basket with all of her easy readers, and then things that I can read to her, bigger books and longer books and things like that. And so I'll rotate her books out periodically with the books that are in the playroom, and it kind of just goes on a rotation. We have a lot of books, and I love books. We have way too many stuffed animals, and so my plan for that originally was I had bought empty bean bags, and I had put their stuffed animals in the bean bags, and so that made the stuffing for them to sit on. And that worked for quite a while until we ran out of room for the bean bags. So I still think it's a great idea. It didn't work because the playroom, we ended up putting more furniture, more storage furniture in there, and it ended up taking all the place of the room for the bean bags. But that is a really great, inexpensive solution to too many stuffed animals. But then they have things that each girl keeps independently in their room. They have a small amount of toy storage in their closets and under their bed. I don't like to keep a lot under their beds or in their closets because it can very easily explode out of control. But they tend to keep things in there that is either more age appropriate to them or things that they think of as just theirs. They share a lot of what they have, and my youngest tends to be really into whatever my oldest is into. So if my oldest is into Barbie, my youngest is into Barbie. And then when my oldest was into My Little Ponies, my youngest was into My Little Ponies. And so when you have siblings, I think that's probably the case for most people. But so they like to keep things specifically to them in their room. So if they got a special Barbie that they don't really want to put in the playroom, they keep those things in their closets and under their beds. My oldest daughter especially is very sneaky about like hoarding things that she doesn't want my youngest to get her hands on, and so she'll like keep little secret piles of things in her closet. And, you know, I'll have to get in there every once in a while and flush it out and say, no, this needs to go in the playroom. All the board games stay in the playroom, which we have a lot of those. So really the playroom helps. If we did not have a playroom in this house, I do not know what we would do. I don't know what your situation is in your house, if you have the luxury of a playroom or a basement or something like that. But the closets in this house, our closet is okay, but the girls' closets are very small. They're not very small, but they're pretty small. They're not walk-ins by any means. And so I have to be very selective with what they do keep in their closet. But again, the playroom is a lifesaver to keep all that overflow. And again, the same thing we did with the books, we tend to rotate. So whenever I go through their closets and kind of straighten things up here and there, I will maybe move some toys and switch it and keep it on a rotation so it keeps things interesting for them, and it keeps things kind of organized so they can see it and play with new things on a regular basis. But like I said, if we didn't have the playroom, I really do not know what we would do with all the stuff. Even the board games. The board games alone would takes up most of that Expedit, and it's a really big piece of furniture, so I really don't know what we would do. We would be forced to get rid of a lot more than we do, and I tend to keep things. I kept all the toys I had from my oldest daughter, and we passed them down to my youngest, and I will probably keep all the toys that my youngest outgrows, and hopefully keep them in my parents' attic so that when they have children one day, they might want them. If they don't, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm very sentimental and I like to keep everything. And I know I can't. I've gotten to the point now where I realize I can't keep everything. And so the only thing that makes me feel better about that is if I do end up selling any of their things, I'm going to tell them that they can keep the money for it and use it on whatever they want to buy. But that would make me feel a little bit better because it's going back to them. So I hope that helps you. I really don't know. I mean, other than that, I try to stay on top of them really good about if they bring something downstairs to play with, take it up as you go. Always take something up as you go, even if it's not a toy, even if it's just a stack of towels or, you know, a book that you left downstairs or something that belongs to somebody else. Take it up as you go. Take it up as you go. We use a basket a lot, and I'll kind of put everything in a basket and I'll give it to my daughters and say, you all go put this stuff up where it belongs. And they'll say, oh, it's so big. And I say, well, most of this stuff is yours if you would put it up. When you get it out, then you won't have these big baskets. And that over time has really helped. It has really cut down on the amount of stuff that they've left kind of just scattered around the house. So I hope that helps you. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what situation do you have with storage. Do you have a basement? Do you have a playroom? I mentioned in one of my videos I use a shoe, like a over-the-door shoe hanger for my youngest daughter to keep little things in. That might be helpful. I mean, utilizing as much vertical storage as you can, and as much under the bed storage as you can. And I really recommend IKEA furniture for any kind of a playroom situation. We have IKEA in our homeschool room. We have IKEA in the playroom. And my oldest daughter has an IKEA Expedit unit in her closet. So they're really awesome. They're inexpensive. They're good quality. And I really like those. So let me know, though, Kelly, what you have. What's your situation with your storage? And maybe I can come up with a few more ideas. I think it's Ariana Gymnastics said, do your daughters like to have sleepovers with friends? Well, they probably would. We have never actually let them have a sleepover. They have been invited. My oldest has been invited to a couple, and I just never have let her. I don't know the families of the places that she was invited to, and unless I know somebody like really well, I don't ever see me letting her spend the night over there. Now, it's okay if her friends stay over here, but I understand that if I feel that way about other people, they might feel that way about me and not want their daughters to spend the night at my house, and that's okay. We've never asked anybody to spend the night just because I don't want to put a parent in that position if they do feel that way and they feel uncomfortable about letting their kids stay with me because they don't know me very well. I don't want to make them feel awkward if they end up like, do I tell her no, or you know. So I don't know that we'll ever do a sleepover just because, like I said, I would have to know somebody extremely well to let them spend the night. And we try to have fun with her friends other ways. We invite them over to play. We've had like, I've invited like a bunch of friends over at once and surprised her when she didn't know they were coming, and they came over, and when she got home, all her friends were there. And, you know, we go to like Sky Zone, skating and places like that with her friends. So we see them in other ways. Sleepovers just really aren't something that we're thinking about right now, but maybe one day. But like I said, I would have to know the family extremely well before I would let that happen. So I think that's all the questions. There's a lot of good questions, really fun ones. And like I said, the only one that I really was not able to fully answer, I think, is the one about our daily routine, what it looks like. So hopefully soon in the future on my channel, I will be able to figure out a way to film that video for you guys, because I have thought about it. And I really like watching other people do day in the life videos and their morning routine or their nighttime routine, but I just don't, I don't film in front of anybody. Like I film when my kids can hear me sometimes, but I don't want my husband to hear me. So if he was home, that would be weird, and trying to keep the kids out of the shot and everything, and remembering to not call them by their names because I don't say their names on camera. So it's just kind of hard, and I just don't know what kind of video it would be. I feel like it'd be so chopped up that it wouldn't make any sense when I put it all together. But I'll think about it, and if you all have any maybe suggestions of how I can do that without the kids being in it, then let me know. I would definitely be open to doing it. So thank you guys for so much for asking me questions. I was so afraid nobody was going to ask me, and it was going to be really embarrassing and awkward if nobody did. So thanks everybody for asking. And please like this video if you like it and you would like me to do more. If you want me to do more and you have more questions, then leave them in the comments below, and I will get around to those whenever I get enough to make another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.